Commander Jake Morrison stood by the large window of Orbital Station Liberty. He held a cup of coffee in his hand, but the drink had gone cold. His eyes were fixed on the communication screen in front of him. Something was wrong. Very wrong. 3 hours had passed since every alien signal disappeared from Earth sensors. Every single one. The busy chatter from trading ships, the news broadcasts from distant planets, the background noise from faraway space stations. All of it was gone. The galaxy had gone completely silent. Dr. Lisa Chen walked into the observation room. Her white lab coat looked messy, and her eyes showed she had not slept. She had spent the whole night in the communications center trying to find answers. Still nothing? She asked, though she already knew the answer. Jake shook his head slowly. It's like someone turned off a switch. Every alien channel we were listening to is dead. The trade routes, the news stations, everything from the Andromeda relay points. All gone. 20 years ago, aliens had made first contact with Earth. It had changed everything. Humans were the new kids in a galaxy full of advanced civilizations. They listened, they learned, they tried to catch up. But the Galactic Council said Earth was not ready for full membership. Humans were too primitive, they said, too violent, too dangerous. But now the galaxy had stopped talking, and that scared Jake more than anything. A voice came through the speaker system. Commander, this is Lieutenant Chris Palmer at the sensor station. You need to come see this right now. We found something at the edge of the solar system. Jake and Lisa ran to the sensor room. Other crew members were already there, staring at the main screen with worried faces. On the display, a huge energy barrier glowed at the edge of their solar system. It looked like a giant bubble made of light wrapping around their entire star system. What is that? Jake asked. Lisa's face turned pale as she studied the readings. It's a quarantine field. Someone has sealed us inside our own solar system. We're cut off from the rest of the galaxy. A new screen appeared showing Captain Nicole Grant. She was calling from Earth Command on the planet's surface. Her expression was serious. All stations and ships, this is Earth Command. We have confirmed the barrier exists. All our attempts to send messages beyond the solar system have failed. As of this moment, humanity is completely alone. A cold feeling spread through Jake's chest. Alone. After 20 years of being part of the galactic community, Earth was isolated again. Cut off, trapped. Why would they do this to us? Chris asked, his voice shaking slightly. Before anyone could answer, every screen in the station turned red. A recorded message started playing. The voice spoke in dozens of alien languages, then switched to English. Attention. Species 7 Alpha, known as humanity. Your species has been placed under quarantine by order of the Galactic Council. A hostile enemy called the Devourers is moving toward your sector of space. Your technology is too primitive to defend against them. This quarantine is meant to protect you. Do not try to break through the barrier. You will be released when the danger has passed. The message ended. The sensor room was completely quiet. Nobody spoke for several long seconds. Protection? Jake's voice was angry. They locked us in a cage and left us here while the galaxy fights a war. They didn't even ask us. They just decided we were too weak to help. Lisa pulled out her tablet computer and started typing quickly. Her fingers moved fast across the screen. Jake, look at this. I've been monitoring Earth's military networks. There's unusual activity happening in the Colorado Mountains. At Cheyenne Mountain Complex, there's a project there called ZEUS. I've never heard of that, Jake said, moving closer to look at her screen. Neither had I until now. It's classified at the highest level of secrecy, but the quarantine is causing security systems to fail. I'm seeing references to something that was built during the Cold War, back in the 20th century. Something they buried and hid when the aliens first arrived. She looked up at Jake, her eyes wide with surprise. I think humanity has been preparing for something like this for a very long time. Longer than anyone knew. Jake stared at the data on her screen. Project ZEUS. A secret so deep that even after 20 years of alien contact it had stayed hidden. What could it be? Why had Earth's governments kept it secret? More reports came in from around the solar system. Every human ship and station was trapped inside the barrier. Nobody could get out. Nobody could send messages to the galactic community. Earth was completely isolated. Chris turned from his sensor panel. Commander, I'm picking up massive energy readings from multiple locations on Earth. Colorado, Antarctica, somewhere in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. They're all starting to power up at the same time. Those must be the ZEUS facilities. Lisa said, her voice filled with both excitement and fear. Whatever ZEUS is, they're getting it ready. Jake looked out the window at Earth below. The planet looked peaceful from up here. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown land. It was hard to believe that somewhere down there, hidden deep underground, humanity had been keeping a secret weapon. A weapon they had never told the aliens about. The Galactic Council thinks we're too primitive to help them, Jake said quietly. They think we need to be protected like children. They have no idea what we're capable of. Lisa nodded. Humans have always been good at one thing: surviving. When someone tries to cage us, we find a way out. When someone tells us we can't do something, we prove them wrong. An alert sounded on the communication system. Captain Grant's face appeared on screen again. This time she looked determined. All personnel, this is Earth Command. We have made a decision. We will not sit quietly in this quarantine while the galaxy decides our fate. Project ZEUS is being activated. In approximately 1 hour, we will attempt to break through the barrier. All stations should prepare for possible hostile response. Earth Command out. Jake felt his heart beating faster. 1 hour. In 1 hour, humanity would show the galaxy what they were really made of. The Galactic Council had isolated them. They had underestimated Earth. They were about to learn a very important lesson: never cage humanity. Deep inside Cheyenne Mountain, General Marcus Webb stood in front of a huge metal door. The vault had not been opened in 20 years. Behind him stood a team of engineers and scientists. They all looked nervous. On a video screen, President Catherine Mills watched from the White House. Her face was serious. General Webb, you have permission to activate ZEUS. I hope this works. God help us all if it doesn't. Webb nodded to the engineer standing next to him. Open the vault. The massive door made loud grinding sounds as it slowly opened. The mechanisms had not moved in many years. As the door swung back, lights turned on one by one inside. They revealed a huge chamber that went deep into the mountain. In the center stood something that looked like a mix between a giant machine and a cathedral. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Dr. Henry Park stepped forward. He was the chief scientist of the ZEUS project. His hands shook slightly as he turned on his tablet computer. ZEUS is not just a weapon. It's a complete defense system. We built it using principles we discovered before the aliens came. When they arrived and shared their technology, we realized something important. We had been studying physics in a completely different way than them. What do you mean? Asked Colonel Amanda Price. She was Webb's second in command. Henry made a holographic display appear in the air. The galaxy uses what we call gentle physics. Their technology works with natural forces. They bend reality carefully, almost politely. But humans have always done things differently. We push, we break things. We force reality to do what we want it to do. He pulled up more data on the display. ZEUS uses zero-point energy and quantum destabilization. These are ideas that the galactic races stopped using millions of years ago. They thought these methods were too dangerous, too unpredictable. He smiled, but it was not a happy smile. But humans are very good at dangerous and unpredictable. General Webb crossed his arms. Can it break through the quarantine barrier? That's the first test we'll do. But ZEUS can do much more. It can create defensive shields around entire planets. It can bend space and time. And if we need to, it can turn quantum uncertainty into a weapon that works on the scale of a whole star system. Amanda whistled softly. You built a doomsday weapon. We built humanity's insurance policy, Henry corrected her. After first contact, we knew the galaxy might not always be friendly. So we kept this project running in secret. We buried it under so many layers of security that even the aliens with all their advanced technology could never find it. Up on Orbital Station Liberty, Jake received an encrypted message from Earth Command. His eyes grew wide as he read the words on his screen. They're doing what? Lisa asked. She was reading over his shoulder. Activating something called ZEUS. They're going to try to pierce through the quarantine barrier. Chris looked up from his control panel. Commander, I'm detecting huge energy readings coming from multiple points on Earth. Colorado, Antarctica, the Pacific Ocean. They're all synchronizing with each other. In the Cheyenne Mountain facility, Henry's fingers moved quickly across the control screen. ZEUS network coming online now. All nodes are responding. Quantum entanglement is locked in place. Zero-point reactors are at full power. General Webb's voice was calm and steady. Fire when ready, Doctor. Henry took a deep breath. Starting ZEUS protocol now. May God have mercy on whoever put that barrier around us. He pressed the activation button. All across Earth, 6 hidden facilities came to life. Energy readings that made nuclear power plants look like tiny candles erupted from the planet. A beam of twisted space and time shot from Earth toward the quarantine barrier at the edge of the solar system. On the space station, every alarm started ringing at once. The noise was deafening. "What is that?" Chris shouted over all the noise. Lisa stared at her sensor readings. Her face showed both wonder and fear. "That's not alien technology. That's ours, human technology. And it's many times more powerful than anything the galaxy ever showed us." The ZEUS beam hit the quarantine barrier. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the barrier began to crack. Lines of light spread across its surface like cracks in a mirror, and then it shattered into a million pieces. The pieces of the broken barrier scattered across space like glittering dust. The solar system was open again. Free. The quarantine was broken. In the ZEUS command center, everyone stood in shocked silence. They had hoped it would work, but seeing it actually happen was different. They had just destroyed something the entire Galactic Council had built. Something that was supposed to be unbreakable. "Did we just do that?" one of the engineers whispered. General Webb allowed himself a small smile. "Yes, we just showed the galaxy that humans don't stay in cages, no matter who builds them." President Mills appeared on the screen again. She had been watching the whole thing. "General Webb, Dr. Park, excellent work. But we need to prepare. Breaking that barrier will definitely get someone's attention. The Galactic Council will want answers. And the Devourers might come looking." "ZEUS is still fully operational," Henry reported. "All systems are stable. We can use it again if we need to. And the more we use it, the better we'll understand it." Colonel Amanda looked at the energy readings. "Sir, we just used enough power to run the entire planet for a month. And we did it in 3 seconds. Where does all that energy come from?" Henry smiled. "From the space between spaces. From the quantum foam that exists everywhere in the universe. The aliens tap into it gently, carefully. We rip it open and take what we need. It's dangerous. It's violent. It's very human." On orbital station Liberty, Jake watched Earth below. The planet looked the same as always, but everything had changed. Humanity had just announced to the galaxy that they were not weak, not primitive, not something to be protected and hidden away. "How long until the Council responds?" Lisa asked. "Their fastest ships could reach us in about 2 days," Jake said. "But I think we'll hear from them much sooner." That barrier breaking probably lit up every sensor in the galaxy. Chris was studying his instruments carefully. "Commander, I'm picking up something new. Long-range sensors show ship movements. Lots of them. They're far away, but they're heading in this direction." "Council ships?" Jake asked. Chris shook his head slowly. "I don't think so. The energy signatures are wrong. These ships use organic technology, biomechanical systems. I think these might be the Devourers." The room went quiet. The Devourers. The enemy that the Galactic Council had been fighting for 200 years. The reason Earth had been quarantined in the first place, and now they were coming here. Jake stood up straight. "Get me Earth Command. We need to tell them right now." Humanity had broken free from the quarantine. They had shown the galaxy their secret weapon, but now they would have to prove they could actually use it. The real test was about to begin. On board the Galactic Council flagship Eternal Wisdom, Supreme Counselor Zephix watched his screens in complete silence. He could not believe what the sensors were telling him. The readings coming from the Sol system were impossible. "The barrier is gone," said Tactical Officer Vrax. His scaled hands were shaking as he touched the controls. "The humans destroyed it. They broke through in a single shot." "That cannot be possible," whispered Counselor Mira. She was from the Luminous Accord, one of the oldest races in the galaxy. "We built that barrier using the combined power of 17 star systems. It was designed to stop even a full Devourer battle fleet." "It seems," Zephix said slowly, "that we badly underestimated our primitive friends." The main screen showed data pouring in from long-range sensors. The energy signature from the human weapon was unlike anything in the galactic database. It did not work with reality the way civilized technology was supposed to. It tore at the fabric of space and time itself. It forced quantum states to collapse in specific ways. It turned fundamental forces of the universe into weapons. These were things that most species had decided were too dangerous to touch millions of years ago. "It's using zero-point energy," said Science Officer Kellen. His voice was filled with shock. And quantum destabilization fields. We abandoned these technologies 5 million years ago because they were catastrophically unstable. Unstable for us, Zephyx said quietly. Perhaps not unstable for them. An urgent message arrived from the front-line fleet that was fighting the Devourers. Commander Threx appeared on screen. His face, usually calm and controlled, now showed fear. Supreme Counselor, the Devourers have detected the barrier collapse. They're turning 3 of their war fleets toward the Sol system. They want to know what destroyed the barrier. Zephyx felt cold fear run through his crystalline body. The Devourers were a hive mind species that consumed entire civilizations. For 200 years, they had been pushing deeper into Council space. Their technology learned and adapted. It was terrifying. Billions of beings had died trying to hold them back. And now 3 Devourer war fleets were heading straight for Earth. Should we send help to Sol? Asked Mira. Zephyx thought carefully. The Council fleet was already stretched thin across a dozen different sectors. To send ships to Sol would mean leaving other worlds undefended. It would mean more deaths, more planets falling to the Devourers. No, he said finally. The humans wanted to break free from our protection. Let us see if they can protect themselves. On Earth, President Mills spoke to the entire planet from the White House. Her speech was broadcast to every screen, every radio, every communication device on the planet. My fellow citizens of Earth, we have broken free from the quarantine. But our sensors show that a hostile force is approaching our solar system. 3 fleets of the enemy the galaxy calls the Devourers are headed our way. They will arrive in 72 hours. She paused, letting her words sink in. The Galactic Council has told us they cannot send help. We are on our own. A small smile appeared on her face. But then again, we always have been alone. Humanity has faced extinction before and survived. We will do it again. General Webb has full permission to use the ZEUS protocol to defend our world. All military forces are being prepared for battle. All civilian ships are being equipped with weapons. And to any alien listening to this message, I want to say something simple. Humanity does not know how to give up. On Orbital Station Liberty, Jake and his crew watched the president's speech. Chris turned to Jake, his face pale with worry. Commander, we're a science station. We don't have any weapons. Jake's jaw became firm with determination. Then we better figure out how to make some. Lisa, can you change our sensor equipment to work with the ZEUS protocol? She thought for a moment, then nodded slowly. If ZEUS can control quantum fields, we might be able to create small disruption fields around the station. We could turn our sensors into weapons. Do it, Jake ordered. We have 3 days. Let's make them count. All across the solar system, humanity began to prepare for war. They did not prepare carefully and slowly like the galactic races usually did. They prepared with desperate, angry creativity. That was what had always made humans different. In shipyards around Earth and Mars, workers took apart civilian freighters and cargo ships. They welded on weapons. They added armor plating. They installed experimental ZEUS-based systems that had never been properly tested. Every ship that could fly was being turned into a warship. In research labs, scientists worked around the clock. They studied the ZEUS technology, trying to understand it better. They found new ways to use it. Ways to defend, ways to attack, ways to survive. In military bases across the planet, soldiers trained with new weapons. Weapons that bent reality. Weapons that used forces the galaxy had forgotten about. Dangerous weapons. Unpredictable weapons. Human weapons. General Webb watched all of this from the ZEUS command center. Holographic displays surrounded him, showing the activity happening all over the solar system. 78 ships were being prepared. Most of them were civilian vessels with weapons hastily attached. Against 300 Devourer warships, it seemed hopeless. But Webb had been a soldier for 40 years. He knew something the aliens did not seem to understand. When humans were cornered, when they had no way out, that was when they were most dangerous. Dr. Henry Park stood next to him, monitoring the ZEUS network. General, we're receiving requests from ship commanders. They want to know how to use ZEUS weapons effectively. We only have basic training programs. Most of these people have never used anything like this before. Tell them to trust their instincts, Webb said. ZEUS technology works best when you don't overthink it. The aliens study and calculate everything. We need to be different. We need to be unpredictable. That's our advantage. On the station, Lisa worked for hours straight, barely stopping to eat or sleep. She connected the sensor arrays to the ZEUS network. She programmed new functions. She turned scientific instruments into weapons of war. Chris helped her, running cables and checking connections. "You really think this will work?" "It has to work," Lisa said. "We don't have any other choice." Jake spent his time coordinating with other stations and ships. He created communication networks. He organized defense patterns. He made sure everyone knew their role in the coming battle. The hours passed quickly. 72 hours, 60 hours, 48 hours. The countdown continued. And then, right on schedule, the Devourers arrived. The first scout ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were strange-looking vessels. They seemed alive somehow. Biomechanical, organic. Each one was the size of a small city, covered in what looked like armor made from living tissue. Jake stood on the bridge of the station, watching the sensors. "Here they come." "Everyone to battle stations. This is what we prepared for. Let's show them what humans can do." The Devourers were coming. They had never faced an enemy like humanity before. They were about to get an education. The first Devourer scout ships came out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. There were 5 of them. They were sleek and organic-looking, like giant living creatures rather than machines. Each one pulsed with biomechanical energy. Each one was the size of a small city. On the bridge of Earth's newest warship, the ECS Defiance, Captain Ryan Torres watched the enemy approach. The ship had been built in just 3 days. It was made from 2 cargo freighters welded together. It had experimental ZEUS weapons that had only been tested twice, but it was ready to fight. "All stations, this is Torres. Weapons are free to fire. Show them what happens when you corner a human." The Defiance opened fire. The ZEUS cannons did not shoot neat beams of energy like galactic weapons. They tore reality apart in visible waves. Space itself twisted and warped. The first Devourer scout never had a chance. One moment it existed. The next moment, the quantum field had aged it 10,000 years in less than a second. It turned to dust and scattered across space. The other scout ships scattered in panic. They sent data back to the main fleet. The Devourers had never seen weapons like these before. 6 hours later, the main Devourer fleets arrived. Over 300 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Each one was huge. Each one was powerful enough to crack a planet's crust. The hive mind controlling the Devourers had sent a force designed to destroy any threat completely. General Webb stood in the ZEUS command center, surrounded by holographic displays. They showed the positions of Earth's defense fleet. 78 ships, most of them were civilian vessels with weapons bolted on. Against 300 Devourer warships, the odds were terrible. "Activate all ZEUS nodes," he ordered calmly. "Full network synchronization." Dr. Henry Park's fingers flew across the controls. "ZEUS network at maximum power. We're using as much energy as the entire planet normally uses. If we keep this going for more than an hour, we'll cause permanent damage to Earth's magnetic field." "Then we better win in less than an hour," Webb replied with a grim smile. The Devourer fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Their bioships were all connected by the hive mind. They coordinated perfectly. They had fought 1,000 different races. They had consumed 1,000,000 worlds. They adapted to every weapon. They learned from every battle, but they had never fought humans before. The battle began near Neptune's orbit. Human ships, badly outnumbered and outgunned, did not try to match the Devourers in neat formation flying. Instead, they did what humans had always done best. They broke all the rules. Captain Torres ordered the Defiance into a maneuver that violated every law of space combat. He used Neptune's gravity to slingshot his ship at impossible speeds directly into the enemy formation. The ZEUS cannons fired continuously. Each shot tore holes in reality itself. Devourer ships exploded or simply ceased to exist. Other human ships followed his lead. They dove and spun and twisted in ways that should have been impossible. They used asteroids as cover. They hid behind moons and struck from unexpected angles. They fought like pirates, not like an organized military. On orbital station Liberty, Jake had turned the science station into a weapon. Lisa's modifications to the sensor arrays created quantum disruption fields. Any Devourer ship that came too close started to fall apart as its molecules stopped holding together properly. 3 enemy ships incoming. Chris shouted, "They've marked us as a priority target." "All power to the forward disruption field," Jake ordered. "Lisa, overload the quantum cascade. Let's make the biggest explosion we can." "That will destroy the station," she warned. "Not if we time it right," Jake said with a fierce grin. On my mark.
3, 2, 1, now!
The station's entire sensor array released all its stored quantum energy in one massive burst. The 3 approaching Devourer ships simply stopped existing. Their matter scattered across quantum states that no longer touched normal reality. The hive mind controlling the Devourers was confused. These humans fought in ways that made no sense. They took terrible risks. They made decisions that seemed completely illogical. And they used weapons that should not be possible. Most terrifying of all, the humans were winning. In the ZEUS command center, Henry watched the battle through dozens of displays. General, the Devourers are starting to adapt. They're learning our tactics. They're reinforcing their shields against quantum disruption. Webb nodded. He had expected this. The Devourers always adapted. That was what made them so dangerous. Then we stopped being predictable. Activate ZEUS Protocol Omega. Henry's face went pale. Sir, that protocol has never been tested. Not even in simulations. It could tear apart the entire solar system. Or it could tear apart the Devourers. Do it now. Henry started the activation sequence with shaking hands. All 6 ZEUS nodes across Earth synchronized to a single frequency. But instead of projecting their power outward like before, they created a resonance wave throughout the solar system itself. Space itself began to vibrate. Reality started to hum with energy. The Devourer ships were organic. They were alive in ways that normal technology was not. They felt the resonance like a physical pain. Their biomechanical systems, which could adapt to any weapon, could not adapt to this. ZEUS was not attacking the ships. It was attacking the universe they existed in. One by one, Devourer warships began to tear themselves apart. Their own adaptive biology turned against them. The quantum resonance disrupted every cell, every molecule, every atom. They could not adapt fast enough. The hive mind made a decision it had never made before in its million-year existence. It chose to retreat. The surviving Devourer ships broke formation and ran. They jumped to faster-than-light speeds in a desperate attempt to escape from the solar system. They left behind the wreckage of over 200 destroyed warships. On the Defiance, Captain Torres slumped in his chair. He was exhausted. His ship was damaged but still flying. Did we just win? His tactical officer checked the sensors with shaking hands. They're gone, sir. All of them. They ran away. A cheer went up across the bridge. It was echoed on every human ship across the solar system. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had won. But in the ZEUS command center, Dr. Henry Park was staring at his instruments with growing worry. Something was wrong. General, we have a problem. The quantum resonance is still active, and it's growing stronger. I can't shut it down. Webb moved to stand beside him. What does that mean? It means the resonance is spreading beyond the solar system. It's moving faster than light. It's going to ripple across the entire galaxy. Henry's hands flew across the controls, trying different commands. Everyone in the galaxy is going to feel this. They're all going to know what we did here. Webb was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. Good, let them know. Let the whole galaxy know that Earth is not to be trifled with. Let them know that humanity does not need protection. We protect ourselves. The quantum resonance pulse spread outward from Earth at speeds faster than light itself. It was a wave of twisted space and time that washed across the galaxy. It did not harm anything, but every civilization with advanced sensors could feel it. It was a declaration, an announcement. A warning humanity had arrived, and reality itself would bend to their will. The quantum resonance pulse rippled outward from the Sol system faster than light itself. It was a wave of distorted space and time that spread across the galaxy like a shock wave. It did not harm anything or anyone, but every civilization with advanced sensors could feel it. They could feel reality itself bending. It was a message that echoed across the stars. Humanity had arrived, and the universe would never be the same. On the Galactic Council flagship, Supreme Counselor Zephyx watched the sensor readings with a feeling he had not experienced in centuries. Fear mixed with wonder. The data was clear. The humans had not just defeated the Devourers. They had scared them away. The hive mind had never retreated from a battle before, not once in its entire existence. They destroyed over 200 Devourer warships, Counselor Mira whispered. Her voice was filled with disbelief. In less than an hour. It took us 2 centuries to destroy that many. Zephyx pulled up the analysis of human weapons technology. The math made his head hurt. Humans had taken principles that every civilized species had given up as too dangerous. They had turned them into devastating weapons. They did not work with reality carefully. They forced it to obey them. What should we do? Asked Science Officer Kellen. If humans can do this while barely understanding galactic technology, what will they be capable of in 10 years? In 100 years? Zephyx was quiet for a long moment. Then he made his decision. Open a communication channel to Earth. It is time we treated them as equals. True equals. President Mills received the call in the Oval Office. She looked tired. The battle had been won, but the cost had been high. 12 ships destroyed, thousands of people dead. But Earth had survived. Humanity had proven itself. Madam President, Zephyx's holographic form appeared before her. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I must apologize. We badly underestimated your species. We thought we were protecting you by keeping you isolated from the devourer threat. You locked us in a cage, Mills replied. Her voice was cold and hard. Yes, that was a terrible mistake. Zephyx bowed his crystalline head in a gesture of deep respect. Your species has proven itself far beyond our expectations. The Council wishes to offer full membership to humanity, effective immediately. No waiting period, no restrictions, no conditions. Mills leaned back in her chair. She studied the alien leader carefully. And if we refuse your offer? Zephyx looked surprised. Why would you refuse? Because 24 hours ago you abandoned us to die. You decided we were too primitive to save. Now that you have seen what we can do, suddenly we are equals. She shook her head. The galaxy needs to understand something, Counselor. Humanity does not beg for acceptance, and we do not forget betrayal easily. Then what do you want from us? Zephyx asked quietly. Mills stood up. Her voice was firm and clear. We will accept Council membership, but on our terms. Earth keeps full control over ZEUS protocol. We share our technology only when and how we choose to, and the next time the Devourers attack anyone, the Council will work with us as partners, not try to protect us like children. Also, we want the truth. All of it. No more secrets about galactic history. No more hidden threats. No more lies. Treat us as true partners or do not treat with us at all. Zephyx thought carefully for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. Agreed. Welcome to the Galactic Council, President Mills. Truly welcome this time. After the transmission ended, General Webb entered the Oval Office. He had been watching from another room. You took a very hard line with them, Madam President. Mills smiled tiredly. They respected us for our strength. Now they will respect us for knowing our own worth. How is ZEUS doing? Dr. Park managed to control the resonance field. We can modulate it now, use it for different purposes. He thinks we can use it as a faster-than-light communication network, faster than anything the galaxy has. Webb paused. He also thinks we have only scratched the surface of what ZEUS can do. Good, keep developing it. The galaxy has been mostly at peace for millions of years except for the Devourers. They have forgotten what real war looks like. Mills looked out the window at the stars. But we have not forgotten. We never will. On Orbital Station Liberty, Jake and his crew were fixing the damage from the battle. The station had survived, but barely. Lisa joined him at the observation window. She looked as tired as he felt. I have been studying the data from the battle, she said. Jake, the galactic races have been fighting the Devourers for 200 years. We beat them in 6 hours. We had ZEUS, Jake replied simply. It is more than just ZEUS. The galaxy fights wars like chess games. Everything is careful and calculated. Minimal risk. But we fight wars like we are trying to survive extinction. Because that is what we are always doing. Surviving. Jake nodded slowly. The galaxy is going to have to get used to our methods. Or maybe we will have to get used to theirs, Lisa said. Maybe, Jake said with a slight smile. Or maybe we will teach them something new. Something they forgot during all those millions of years of peace. 3 days later, the first human delegation arrived at the Galactic Council headquarters. President Mills led the team. General Webb, Dr. Henry Park, and representatives from every major nation on Earth came with her. As they entered the Grand Assembly Hall, thousands of alien species watched in silence. Some watched with respect. Some watched with fear. All of them recognized that something fundamental had changed in the galaxy. Humanity was no longer the primitive newcomer asking politely for acceptance. They were the species that broke the unbreakable barrier. They defeated the enemy that could not be defeated. They controlled weapons that bent reality itself to their will. Supreme Counselor Zephyx stood at the center of the hall. He addressed the assembled races. Members of the Galactic Council, I present to you our newest full members, the humans of planet Earth. President Mills stepped forward to speak, but before she could say anything, an urgent alarm sounded throughout the chamber. A holographic display appeared showing the edge of Council space. The Devourers were attacking again, but this time they had brought 10 times more ships than they had sent to Earth. The Council chamber erupted into panic. Counselors from hundreds of worlds shouted over each other. They demanded evacuation plans. They wanted defensive strategies. They wanted to run. Mills turned to General Webb and Dr. Park. They looked at each other. A silent conversation passed between them with just their eyes. Then Mills smiled slightly and turned back to face the council. "Counselors," she said. Her voice cut through the chaos like a knife. "May I make a suggestion?" The huge assembly fell completely silent. All eyes turned to the human leader. "Activate ZEUS protocol," she said calmly. "It is time the galaxy learned what happens when you threaten humanity's friends." Dr. Park pulled out his data pad. His fingers moved quickly across the screen. "ZEUS network coming online now. All Earth nodes are responding. We are extending the quantum field across all of Council space." Throughout the galaxy, the quantum resonance began to pulse again. Most sensors could not see it, but every living being could feel it. It was a message, a warning, a promise. The Devourers felt it instantly. The hive mind recognized the energy signature immediately. It was the same force that had driven them from the Sol system. Now it covered half the galaxy, and at its heart, the humans waited. For the second time in their million-year existence, the Devourers made the choice to retreat. Their massive fleet turned around and fled into dark space, leaving Galactic Council territory far behind. In the Council chamber, there was complete silence for several long seconds. Then slowly, one species began to applaud. Then another. Then another. Soon the entire assembly was showing their appreciation, not the polite recognition of equals, but the genuine gratitude of those who had been saved by their protectors. Zephyx approached President Mills. His crystalline features seemed to show something that might have been a smile. "I think humanity is going to change everything about how this galaxy works." Mills nodded. "That is exactly what we plan to do. The universe tried to isolate us. It tried to protect us like children who could not take care of themselves. But it learned what our ancestors learned a long time ago. You cannot cage humanity. You can only point us at a problem and watch us solve it." She turned to address the full council. Her voice carried across the vast chamber. "Members of the Galactic Council, Earth accepts its membership. We bring with us our strength, our technology, and our way of thinking. We have survived ice ages and world wars. We have lived through plagues and near extinction. We have climbed from caves to the stars through sheer stubborn will. The galaxy tried to isolate us. We broke free. The Devourers tried to destroy us. We sent them running in fear. Now we stand before you, not asking for permission, but taking our place as equals. And we make you one promise." Mills paused. She let her words echo across the chamber. Every being there listened carefully. "Never threaten our home. Never isolate us from the stars. And never underestimate what humans can do when survival is on the line. Because we do not just survive. We thrive, we adapt, we overcome. Welcome to the age of humanity. The galaxy will never be the same again.